Hi guys, welcome and who dat but the Saints themselves. I'm Joe, and this is my review of the Week 7 matchup as the Saints travel to the desert to take on the Arizona Cardinals. Both teams were 2-4, and we go into State Farm Stadium and lose. Final score is 42-34. I didn't do a preview of this game because it was an early matchup Thursday. Saints traveled, short week, all the way to the other side of the country. And my score prediction was going to be Cardinals 37, Saints 24. That's horrible. I know. I'm a hoodat. There's a part of me that has in my mind, okay, here's a way the Saints can win, and this is how it would probably work out. And then here's the score. Saints win. But I kept coming back to scenarios where, no, this is probably what's going to happen. I saw a lot of the score predictions this week, and nobody thought Carolina was going to, or the Cardinals were going to score that many points. So I thought predicting them to score 37 was outrageous. They end up with 42, and uh, and it was because of the same old junk that has plagued the Saints this year: turnovers, penalties, inconsistency on the offensive side with regards mostly to play calling. Because when you go into a game with your top receivers out again, Michael Thomas out, Jarvis Landry out, Adam Troutman, your number one tight end, is out, and Andres Pete, your number one left guard, is out. People give Andres Pete a hard time, but if you look at what he's done this year when he was on the field, he's a valuable asset. Going from Andres Pete to Calvin Throckmorton is it's a big dip. Now we get Trevor Penning back. In this situation, I would expect them to slide James Hurst to left guard instead of Throckmorton and start Trevor Penning because I think Penning would do better at left tackle than Throckmorton does at guard. Now, Throckmorton's not a bad player. Our offensive line did fine this week. We did not allow a sack. We did allow a bunch of pressures. Andy Dalton was feeling it. As far as the running game goes, it was okay. We didn't commit to it as much as we usually do because we fell behind at the end of the first half on the back of two interception returns for touchdowns. Now, the Saints turned the ball over three times, three interceptions by Andy Dalton. And you're not going to win any games when they're returning your turnovers for touchdowns. And we had two in a row at the end of the first half. This game was tied 14-14 with about 2 minutes and 20 seconds to go in the first half. And we managed to turn the ball over twice in that span. They get an interception return for a touchdown, and about a minute and 4 seconds later, they get another one. At that point, they go up 28-14, and as a Saints fan, you feel like this might be too much to crawl out of for any team, but especially for this team. Because offensively, what we're really good at is running the ball with the hopes of leaning on our defense, and our defense has been pretty porous lately. When you allow 14 points on interception returns, it's kind of skews the rest of the game, but figure it out. That means the defense allowed 28 points. A great defense is going to keep a team under 20 points, and we did that at the beginning of the season, and the costly turnovers and penalties cost us games anyway. We straightened it out last week. No turnovers and only five penalties, four penalties. But this week it comes back to bite us again. I think we had 8 penalties total for 49 yards. Arizona got 3 first downs due to penalties. We got 1 first down due to penalties. But when you turn the ball over 3 times and you have 8 penalties at costly times, you're not going to win very many games. You fall behind by 2 scores. We abandoned the run in the second half almost immediately. Taysom Hill didn't have as many touches as he should have. Which brings me to play calling. When you're in the red zone, I know your quarterback is your field general and he's supposed to be the guy that you lean on. Well, I don't think in certain instances you can lean on Andy Dalton, you know, to punch that ball in when you're in the red zone. I mean, I just don't see enough of a dedication and devotion to what we really do good. I mean, Taysom Hill should get under center 15 times. He should touch the ball 15 times. I'm going to pull up the stats and we're going to show you how many times he did touch the ball. Passing, Andy Dalton, 30 of 47 for 361 yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Okay. That yardage and those 4 touchdowns, that's pretty much all garbage. When you're playing catch up in the second half and the Cardinals maintain a 2-score lead regardless of what you do on offense, the Cardinals were just letting the Saints have everything underneath toward the end of the game. And I knew whoever had fantasy players from the Saints were going to be happy. But it wasn't really helping the Saints out much as far as the outcome of the game. Every time we pulled to within 11 points, our defense would allow a touchdown again. Taysom Hill had 2 passes on 2 attempts for 48 yards. Running the ball, we only ran the ball 22 times for 85 yards. That is not going to do it for this team. Kamara, 11 carries, 49 yards. Not enough carries. Andy Dalton scrambled 4 times for 21 yards. Now, that's the kind of stuff I expect to see from Jameis Winston when he's not injured and he comes back. Andy Dalton got a couple of first downs from scrambling, and that's something that's been missing from our game. Winston needs to put that back in his game. Taysom Hill had 3 carries for 9 yards. Well, that's your big play right there. You know, Kamara getting enough touches. Kamara should get 16 to 20 carries a game if he's going to catch the ball 5 or 6 times out of the backfield. Kamara should definitely have 25 touches in a game. So running the ball 11 times with Kamara is not going to cut it. Running the ball 3 times with Hill's not going to cut it. You know, Hill deserves 15 touches as well. He threw the ball twice. He ran the ball 3 times. He caught 1 ball. That's 6 touches. That's not even half of what he needed. Mark Ingram had 4 carries for 6 yards. Awful day running the ball. We fell behind so early, you know, right before the first half ended, and we had to abandon the run. Receiving, Chris Olave was targeted 14 times. He had 7 catches for 106 yards. Kamara was targeted 9 times. He had 7 catches for 56 yards. Tre'Quan Smith, 5 catches, 59 yards. He was targeted 6 times. The only ball he didn't catch, he dropped. Juwan Johnson, targeted 5 times. He had 5 catches for 32 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, that's a play that seemed to work for Andy Dalton in the red zone, throwing it up to Johnson. To me, when we're in the red zone, Hill and Kamara should be in every play. When they were in the game in the red zone together, Hill caught the ball for 3 yards and a touchdown. And I saw a bunch of red zone plays before and after that didn't have either Hill or Kamara in the game. I don't understand that. To me, that's our best That's our best formation. You have both those players on the field. The defense has to be honest with both of them. If you don't have Hill in the game and you just have Kamara in the game, they're all going to focus on Kamara. You hand the ball off to Kamara, he gets 4 yards, whatever. It's not the same. I don't get it. I'm not happy with the play calling. Mark Ingram had 3 catches for 16 yards. Once again, Marcus Callaway was targeted a bunch, but he only had a few receptions. 6 targets, 2 catches for 20 yards. One of those targets he dropped. Ball goes up in the air. It's picked off. It's returned for touchdown. Can't really blame Dalton for that one. We had a bunch of big plays in the game, too. Taysom Hill with the 3-yard catch for a touchdown. Rashid Shaheed had 1 target, 1 catch, 53 yards, and a touchdown. Now, Shaheed has touched the ball twice in his young NFL career on offense, and he scored a touchdown both times. I would think that this week, coming up, his 3rd week on the roster, you kind of try to find a way to get this guy involved. Because every time he touches the ball on offense, he scores. Kevin White had 1 catch on 1 target for 64 yards. It was a huge play. That's your one great play from Kevin White. Probably won't see him catch the ball the rest of the year. So altogether, I think these passing yards and touchdowns are kind of skewed. You're playing from behind, and hey, it's better than not scoring. I'm going to pull up the quarterly points again here because the way this went down was just, once again, wasn't the Saints' day. We managed to take a 7-0 lead. We allow them to score a field goal. Then we go on a 15-play drive, march all the way down the field, and throw an interception in the end zone. Last week, people complained we were kicking too many field goals in the red zone. Tell you what, that field goal looks a lot better than that interception. The Cardinals managed to go all the way down the field, but we hold them to a field goal again. So we're still up 7-6, and at this point, the second quarter has started. We march down the field and score a touchdown again to go up 14-6. Now, we allow them to get downfield. They score a touchdown. They add the 2-point conversion. It's tied at 14, and that's where everything went off the rails because instead of having a successful 2.5 minute drive, we turned the ball over twice, both for touchdowns. They missed an extra point, but they ended up going for 2 twice and making it both times in this game. So halftime score is 28-14. We march down the field. We can only get a field goal. It's 28-17. And then we allow them to go down the field and score. Running the ball, passing the ball, didn't matter. Whatever they wanted to do, it was fine. Defensively, we wasn't putting much up of a fight for sure. They maintained that 2-score lead on us for the majority of the game. We pull within 28-17. When they score another touchdown, they're up 35-17. We score a touchdown and pull within 11. It's 35-24. They go down the field and score again. 42-24, and at this point, I'm thinking there's no chance the Saints have of really coming back from this, and I think they showed the stat on TV. They had like a 2% chance of winning at that point. We score a touchdown again to pull within 42-31. Yeah, there was only 3 minutes left in the game. We managed to kick a field goal with 40 seconds left in the game to pull it within 42-34. We try the onside kick. It doesn't work. Mini miracle that we lost by only 8 points. Technically, it's only a 1-possession loss, and you were still technically in there if you could recover the onside kick. Never know what's gonna happen. I'm pretty sure I know what wasn't gonna happen. You wasn't gonna see Taysom Hill in the game and Alvin Kamara in a 2-minute drill for some reason. Okay, so Defensive stats now. I think the big failure on the day. Pete Warner, 7 total tackles, 2 for loss, a pass defended. Chris Harris, our best tackling secondary member by far. Chris Harris with 6 total tackles. His coverage is okay, but he can tackle. Okay. I mean, this is tough. You go into the game without Marshawn Lattimore, that's bad enough because Adebo's playing hot and cold. But then at the last minute, Adebo's not playing. And then at the beginning of the game, Bradley Roby gets hurt. Your top 3 receivers were out. Now this game, that your top 2 receivers are out, and then now you lose your top 2 cornerbacks. Now you lost your third cornerback. And Alontae Taylor just got back from IR, and now he's having to start alongside Chris Harris, a guy who was on our practice squad for a minute before we brought him up, and he's had to play in 2 straight games. He's having to start, but he's a good tackler. Cameron Jordan, 6 total tackles, 2 for a loss, including a sack. Davenport had 6 total tackles, and his presence was felt in this game quite a bit. I think the defensive ends did a great job. They were pretty productive for the role they had to play, which was to box Murray in and make sure Murray didn't get out. Murray only had 4 carries for 31 yards. He only passed for right over 200 yards. So overall, the defensive ends and our game plan for Murray was fine. But when our defensive ends play that kind of a game, trying to box in a mobile quarterback, it leaves our running game pretty vulnerable, which it was. The Cardinals ran the ball 29 times. They had way over 100 yards. We were outrushed in this game. Cardinals were very balanced, 29 rushes for 137 yards and 2 touchdowns. And they passed the ball 29 times. 29 and 29. We passed the ball 47 times and ran it. We passed the ball 49 times and ran it 22 times. So here we're down by 2, but we were running the ball. The first possession we had in the third quarter, we were still running the ball. We were down by 2 touchdowns. We let this thing get away from us. When you are chipping away at a lead and the defense just goes out there and lays an egg again. Justin Evans, 5 tackles. I don't know how many he missed. Tyrann Mathieu, 5 tackles. Marcus Maye, 5 tackles. Demario Davis, 4 tackles, including a sack. Alontae Taylor, 3 tackles. Passanant, 3 tackles, 2 for loss. Good day by him. Malcolm Roach, 3 tackles. The defense allowed about 5 plays of 17 yards or more. And on offense, we got about 5 plays of 17 yards or more. So the big plays were there on this Thursday night game. And it was those big plays that hurt us because it got them in the red zone. We couldn't keep them out of the end zone. Once again, the Cards scored 3 touchdowns on 4 red zone appearances. We scored 3 touchdowns on 5 red zone appearances. But one of them was a turnover that we didn't get, an interception. So Forest defense, we're one of the worst in the league as far as points allowed. And it is skewed because we have now allowed, I believe, 5 defensive returns for touchdowns, interception returns for touchdowns, maybe 6. 2 in this game, and at least 2 before, or 3, or 4. It's hard to tell. They're picking us off and picking up fumbles and running it back for touchdowns, and we're not even causing turnovers, which is the big stain on this defense. You get one game straight last week where you're not turning the ball over, you're not committing costly penalties, and your passing game is inconsistent. In this game, we're not able to run the ball, and it's not as good as we want it to be. We didn't average over 4 yards a carry in this game. Did not. 3.9 as a matter of fact. And in this week, special teams were pretty good. Coverage wasn't very good, but Lutz was 2 out of 2 on field goals. Gillikin had 2 punts, both of them inside the 20, down inside the 20. Rashid Shaheed had a 14-yard average on his punt returns. You want to be more than 10, 14 yards, pretty good. But the eight penalties, 3 turnovers. You're not going to win games like that. You're not going to win games when the defense is allowing the other team to constantly score touchdowns. I mean, we we were good. Our offense throws 2 pick sixes. Next thing you know, our offense is playing from behind, and our defense really has to shut the door on this other team, and they just don't. We have a huge 17-point fourth quarter. We double our points to 34, but it's all just fantasy points and window dressing. This is the first game Dalton throws for this many yards for the Saints. Jameis had one 300-yard plus game, and that was also the game he threw for 3 interceptions. Dalton throws for 3 interceptions in this 300-yard game. You get a lot of yards when you're playing from behind. You force a lot of mistakes too. You're playing from behind because you made mistakes. So we have a mini bye week right now, and I'm assuming that we're going to heal up. I'm really hoping a week and a half from now, when the Saints are hosting the Las Vegas Raiders in the Caesars Superdome, that we have Michael Thomas back, that we have Jarvis Landry back, that we have Jameis Winston back. And hopefully we have an offensive coordinator who understands the value of Taysom Hill and Alvin Kamara, understands the value of ball control. And I'm kind of hoping that our head coach does something he hasn't done ever, which is pull his head out of his ass and get this team to play better. Perhaps give up the play calling duties on defense or something, because the defense is embarrassing right now. Statistically, our offense is one of the best in the league, which is just a joke. The way this season has gone so far, we can't seem to put it all together. How about our defense hold a team to under 20 points? How about we force some turnovers for a change? We don't turn the ball over. We don't commit costly penalties. And our offense can put up 26 points. I'll take a 26-20 win for the rest of the year. But right now, the Saints are 2-5, and we're not going anywhere. We're 2 games back in the division now, regardless of what happens this weekend. We're still a good game and a half behind Tampa, even if they lose. I'm not going to be looking at the numbers for the next month when it comes to our playoff viability. This team has to rip off a good 4 or 5 wins in a row just to be relevant. And the way we're playing, I'm not sure how many games we can win. I mean, we're 2-5. On this pace, we're going to end up 5-12 or some shit like that. Under Sean Payton, very rarely did we have seasons where we lost 5 games total. So this is ugly for a lot of fans. I'm an old school guy. I know what it was like in the late 70s and early 80s. I know what it was like to struggle to make the playoffs and only to get booted out the first round. I'm going to take all of this in stride. This is not a rebuilding year for the Saints. We put all of our chips in this year. And when all the pieces come back in a week and a half, maybe we'll put a good performance up and it will give us a little ray of sunshine. But until then, not much positive coming out of the Bayou. A long week and a half, mini bye. We're going to have to lick our wounds. Is Dennis Allen on the hot seat? Of course. He's been on the hot seat since Sean Payton retired, because Sean Payton was a great coach, and whoever takes his place is going to have that magnifying glass on you, and It gets pretty hot under there. Subscribe to Rosenfield 10 for more videos like this. I'm Joe. I will be doing a preview of the upcoming match against the Raiders. And until then, bless you boys. Stay strong. Who Dat Nation. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.